So I saw this video and I quickly grabbed my pad and my pen because I want to take my lessons. So at the end of the video, I'll be sharing my lessons. I also want you to grab yours, take down your lessons, and share your lessons in the comment section.
If you both get married and you decide we are going to make this marriage work, guess what? Like Saeed and I, in our 5th to 6th year of marriage, we went back to the drawing board. And that's when we started having goals for our relationship. That's when I started going on a journey of personal development, self-awareness, improving myself, because I realized I was a problem. We were both problems, but I couldn't solve him. You can't change a person. I worked on me.
The key thing that I said I would get back to my initial premarital counseling, which I started getting at an early age, was when my father made it clear to me that he is human, he is flawed, and he made mistakes, because I saw it, and he told me it wasn't like indirectly, no, one-on-one, do not make the mistakes that I made. That early in my life, I decided I will be the best husband I could possibly be. At that level, I started questioning those things that were wrong with me. Not all of us are conscious enough to figure that one out and say, as I am flawed, I'm imperfect. I need to work on me before I start pointing fingers at anybody. So I had my baggage, and I told her. And when we got married, I told her, because of that baggage, because of those problems that I've had growing up, the trauma I experienced and so on and so forth, I told Miriam, we shouldn't bring children into this world until we have figured ourselves out. Now, I thought for 3 years during the courtship, I did okay. I thought I was working on myself, and I really did work on myself. But it's one thing to work on yourself alone, and to work yourself in a marriage when there's someone living with you. They're two totally different. Who has
a mind of their own.
Yeah, who's also sometimes kind of wacky and crazy. But when we started, and I realized my wife is also a handful, and she needs to work on herself. So we were not, how should I put this, making excuses. We're not sweeping anything under the rug. We're not being pretentious about, oh no, we're not who we are. No, be who you are. Be honest about it. And then work on yourself.
So I'm done taking my notes, and I know that it is marriage they were talking about in the video, but I tell you that when it comes to success, the principles are almost universal. They apply to marriage, they apply to parenting, they apply to your career, especially the principles that they were shared in this video. You can apply them to your parenting and you are going to get results. So I am going to be picking the lessons from the videos you can apply to your parenting. The first thing I wrote down is that in their 5th or 6th years of marriage, they went back to the drawing board. So their marriage was not working as they had planned. They had to go back. Self-reflection. Why is this marriage not working? What can we do to make this marriage work? The same thing you can apply in your parenting. It is never too late to start. So if you're not getting the results you set out to get at the start of your parenting, if you're not getting the results you desire in your parenting, one of the things you want to go is actually to look at yourself in the mirror. Ask yourself, take yourself to the drawing board. Ask yourself, what am I not doing right? Why am I not getting the results? What is the issue? Number one thing you have to do, they did in their marriage, you do your parenting, is go back to the drawing board. When they went back to the drawing board, they set goals. They didn't start setting goals from nowhere. They went back to the drawing board before they set goals. Now, here is something I always say. See, before you set new goals, you have to first of all go back to where you are coming from. You have to know your wins, your struggles, your challenges, your failures, and all of that. They are what you will put down to set goals, because you are already winning. You don't want to set goals on the areas you are winning already. So that means you are not going to grow. So your goals are going to be on the areas you are struggling, because you want to get better. So it is why you must go back to your drawing board. As a parent, if you are struggling in any area of your parenting, even if it is in the money, or your mornings are chaotic, it means you are struggling. You can't get your children to do certain things. You can't get them to cooperate. You are struggling in that area. You are always nagging, yelling. It means you are struggling in the area of your emotions. You are always running behind time. You You're always realizing, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this thing. I did not. You are struggling in that area. So what you want to do is to go back to the drawing board. Reflect. Why am I struggling in these areas? Then you set your goals. Now here's the next thing I learned. From the woman also, she said they had to set their goals for marriage. She went on a journey of personal development. Because if you have your goals, you want to be better, you cannot remain where you are. In your parenting, you want to get better results. It simply means that you want to do something better. You need to learn the skills that will help you do things better. I say to my teenagers in church, I tell them that if you want to get to a particular destination and you leave your house, you get halfway. I use landmarks in my area. Of course, you may not know my area, so there's no point mentioning the landmarks. I tell them, for example, you want to get to this particular junction, and each time you leave your house, you get halfway and you go back. You will never get to the junction. What will take you to that junction is if you now pass the halfway you keep stopping at and go further. That is when you get to the junction. And sometimes, maybe why you stop in that place is because you get exhausted. So it simply means that you are now going to go back and ask yourself, how do I go past that place I always stop? You need skills. You need maybe coaching, maybe mentorship, maybe to read, to develop yourself, to know how you will get past the place you always get to. So she said she embarked on a self-development journey, which will require you to unlearn, relearn, learn again, build skills. So in your parenting, if you realize where you are struggling, where your challenges are, you need to build skills. You need to undergo a self-development to build skills. Now let's talk about the man. He said his father told him that he was human, he made mistakes, and he doesn't want the son to make the mistake he made. As parents, we all know that. We don't want our children to make the mistakes we made. My grandmother used to say that whatever befell a parent does not befall the child. Why? Because as a parent, you know better. You know why you did what you did. You know the mistakes you made, and you do not want your children to make that mistake. So if a tragedy befell a parent, that tragedy is not supposed to befall the child. So let me ask you as a parent, what mistakes did you make that you don't want your child to repeat? Have you ever sat down to look at it? Why did you make those mistakes? Why did they happen? Are you empowering your child with the skills not to make the same mistakes? Or you just expect that, oh, they will not make the same mistake because you have made it? Or you just feel, oh, they will just navigate life and they will not make that mistake? No. So if you have not empowered them with skills, you need to sit back and empower them with skills. You need to sit back and even realize, okay, these were the mistakes I made as a child. You need to understand why you made those mistakes, and you need to begin to empower your child with the skills not to make the same mistakes. He said something that he knew he had trauma that may sabotage his parenting. He didn't put it this way, but he said he did not want them to have children until they were healed of their trauma. He knew he had trauma that would sabotage his parenting. So before having children, he wanted to unlearn some sabotaging learning he learned. He wanted to uninstall some sabotaging programming that were installed in him. He wanted to heal from his childhood traumas and drop his baggage. As a parent, have you ever sat down to realize, okay, there are some traumas I have that I need to heal from? Because if you don't heal from your trauma, you are just going to pass them to your children. You are not just going to pass them to your children, you will end up breaking your children. You are going to break them. And one thing I always say is that the fact that it is working for you does not mean it will work for your child. So what you want to do as a parent, you want to sit back and evaluate yourself. Ask yourself, do I have baggages I'm carrying? It is not even do I have baggages I'm carrying. You must have baggages you are carrying. You parent your children from fear. You parent your children from where you are coming from. You parent your children from the programming you have had over the years, especially when you were growing up, especially in your super sponge, I call it super sponge age, where you absorbed everything, you took in everything in your environment and it shaped who you are today. you parent your children from that. So let me ask you, have you ever sat down to reparent yourself? Have you ever sat down to heal from the trauma? Have you ever sat down to uninstall that programming in you? If you have never done that and you want to do that, you want to send me a message right now, because in the Visionary Parent Academy, we are doing that this month, the entire month of June. And we have a book that will help you move you from where you were to actually where you were designed to be, or where you should be. The next is, he thought he had worked on himself during courtship. They had 3 years courtship, and so he thought, oh, all that 3 years he had worked on himself. It was when he got into marriage he realized, it reminds me of a video I saw recently where the woman thought, oh, she thought she was 1,000 yards material until she got married, and the first problem she had with her husband was she was not bathing early. You know, she could sleep all day without bathing, and then the husband would have to call, especially because she wasn't working then. The husband would have to come and say, why have you not bathed? And then she realized it was a problem. The same thing happens to parenting. It's easy to say, oh, when I'm a mom, I am going to do X, Y, Z. If you have not truly healed, when you become a mom, it is going to be a different ball game. I've shared this story before. I remember my younger brother one time when my child was still very young. I think my son was about 2, 3 or something like that. Before I became intentional, I remember one day he came to visit me. Then he was not married. He came to visit me, and I think I smacked my son, and he was telling me, he would never smack his children when he had them. So fast forward to when he had his second child, and he was in the car with his first son alone, and the boy was about 2 or thereabouts. And we're on the phone, we're talking, and I heard the boy crying. I said, why is your son crying? He said, me beat him. I said, why? He said, you don't understand this boy, you own too much. Then I reminded him, I remember you saying that you will never hit your child. So what happened? And he said, we understand, this boy owns too much. The truth of the matter is, when he now had children, or when he now had a child, it was different from when he was saying, I will never beat my child. Now he was facing reality. So it is easy for you to say, oh, I will not do this, I will not do that. Now, this is why at every phase in your life, you must grow. Every phase in your life requires skills, and you must learn the skills you need to navigate, to thrive, not just to navigate, to thrive in the phase you are. So as a parent, what phase are you in your parenting? Are your kids toddlers? Are they young children? Are they preteens, teenagers, young adults? What skills do you require for that phase of your life, of your parenting? Are you learning? Are you winging it? Every single phase in your life requires skills. And as someone who is intentional, you must intentionally seek the skills you need for the phase you are.